Did he resign? Did he officially resign?
So his phrasing was, regrettably, Foreplay Tracker will be stepping away for the time being. I believe my recent actions have divided Foreplay by diminishing the virtues of the brand and the meaningful legacies of those who built it. Although I am disappointed with these developments, my focus will be to not annoy the Foreplay crew. Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports, and also presented by our presenting sponsor, which is our good friends at Chevrolet, which we're going to talk about. We got much to talk about. This will be our last show before Christmas. We got Carson Daly on this show, who was fucking fantastic. Shows up with an Islanders hat. We got Fixing Frankie coming out, which we have to talk about. But first, we have massive news in the golf world that broke today that's taken over kind of Twitter that I want to get to first. That is obviously Foreplay Tracker has released a statement claiming that it will be suspending itself, essentially, from the Twitter sphere and is going to step away from the game. Now, there's a couple things in this statement that I found notable, I guess I would say. So I want to go through it very quickly. I'm going to start with the statement, which says this is a statement regarding today's Foreplay podcast released on December 20th, 2022. We are recording so that we can hit a Christmas break a little bit. From its inception in June 2022, the purpose of Foreplay Tracker, and this is very important, has been to provide the fans of Foreplay with news and updates on their favorite Barstool Sports personalities. Each day, Foreplay Tracker assembles the world's leading information about Foreplay to tweet. It provides a stage for fans to experience funny, dumb, and dramatic moments regarding the Foreplay crew, domestically and abroad. All of that's completely fine. Starts to get interesting here in paragraph 2. Goes on to say, I would like to thank Dan Rappaport for clearing up whether or not Riggs remembered his Team Illinois hockey coaches. I would also like to mention that the direct messages regarding the Barstool Golf Society on PGA Tour 2K23 were from my dear friend Riggs Tracker, not myself. Now,
two different people.
That's essential because we have had on this show one person who has had to issue a formal apology to a Tracker account in this show's past. And I think if that's true, what Foreplay Tracker put in their statement today, this might be grounds for yet another apology that has to be issued.
Did you get the trackers confused?
Yeah.
Wait, so you falsely accused Foreplay Tracker?
Yeah, I mean,
I did. I thought it was Foreplay Tracker that had been messaging me nonstop. And then this morning I got a message from Riggs Tracker that said, seriously, man, you're shitting on me on the podcast because I want to run the society. What a crime that is, huh? Biggest golf podcast, and there hasn't been a tournament, and I'm simply trying to help. What a dickhead. First of all, Riggs Tracker, I didn't even call you out, but now I have to. I mean, I understand that he wants to help. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying that sometimes the messages become a lot. When you send 1 million of them, you're essentially sending 0 of them because I'm just not going to look. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's just too much noise. So do I have to apologize to Foreplay Tracker? Sure. This will be my second official apology to a tracking community. And this one goes to Foreplay Tracker. I apologize. You don't have to, like, fall off the face of the earth. You don't have to... Did he resign? Did he officially resign?
So his phrasing was, regrettably, Foreplay Tracker will be stepping away for the time being. I believe my recent actions have divided Foreplay by diminishing the virtues of the brand and the meaningful legacies of those who built it. Although I am disappointed with these developments, my focus will be to not annoy the Foreplay crew, which I felt bad when I read the statement. Obviously, I wanted to. Well, I wanted to dig through and get to the facts. So I'm glad that Frankie was able to be the bigger man and admit that there was a confusion between Riggs Tracker and Foreplay Tracker. But I too like Foreplay Tracker. I think the commitment to the game has been excellent. It's definitely too much at times, but you got to learn. It's only since June, which I thought this account's inception was long before June. June's just not that long ago. So there's a bit of a learning curve throughout the whole thing. Sometimes it can be a little bit too much. Sometimes I think Foreplay Tracker even will just keep firing on the Riggs coached at TI thing and then delete.
That's the one that crossed the line.
Well, I think then he'll delete those tweets and then send another one, like hoping that like this will be viewed as the first one, and that's just a little bit too much. So I love the commitment. I love the mission statement at the beginning of the statement about what Foreplay Tracker is all about. I don't want to see Foreplay Tracker be bullied off of Twitter because we brought it up on the podcast. So I just wanted to, again, kind of clear the air before we could really talk about anything else.
The statement is very funny. It was very well written and comical. I enjoyed that immensely.
That's my thing. Is like this is like a real guy. He's a real guy who's a funny guy. You know, this is not. And
I think
I'm
he's
gonna give
tweeted
a little
picture of himself before. I think he's a college kid.
He's going to law school. I know a little bit about.
You know
Foreplay
too much
Trackers.
about him.
I know a little too much about him. But here's what I'll say: he's not some guy who's just staying in his in the basement. He's not like some internet troll. This statement I think proved to Trent and probably to the rest of us that this guy is funny. He was clearly taking some stuff from the Masters. I think he adds to the conversation. Just if I know you're listening, so it's not if you're listening. Just don't ask the same question multiple times. Just stop doing that.
If FPT was dead to me during the coach saga, he's now back because of this statement.
Yeah.
And just as good a statement as you can release, I would say.
I agree with that.
Coach Saga.
So, anyways, I want to read the finale of the statement. The last paragraph says, "We have reached a seminal point in the history of foreplay. I have faith that Foreplay Tracker, who has overcome many challenges through the months, will endure again in the future." And I just want to reiterate that I hope that's true as well.
I second that or third that or whatever. I want him to stick around. I think.
Yeah.
I it's unfortunate that Frankie confused him with another tracker. But
Unfortunate,
I think,
but understandable.
Understandable. And I think Frankie has made amends. He's apologized. And I think everyone can move forward on social media just as they were.
I love it. I agree. All right, let's get to other news of the day, which is we'll go through a little administrative stuff. Electric vehicles. Are we in the future? I think we're trying to get into the future. Is that right?
Certainly feels like the future every day. Every day I wake up, I feel like we're moving faster and faster.
We're there. We're in the future.
Speaking of future, well, we're talking about Chevrolet and their EVs. Have you thought any differently about the nuclear fusion thing, or you still think that we were under excited about that?
I got a couple tweets about the fact that it was a groundbreaking moment that I feel like hasn't been really captured by the podcast. I don't know if you guys did any more. I don't know if you guys have done any more.
No, it's groundbreaking. I agree.
Definitely groundbreaking. I will say you
Big
bring
stuff.
It's a breakthrough.
Part of your part of what you do is you bring things on the show that are groundbreaking, and you just hit us with so many of them that it becomes par for the course. No pun.
So one of Albert Einstein's most famous quotes was energy will never be able to be created or destroyed. It'll just be able to be maneuvered. And that was just incorrect. Albert Einstein didn't think that this would ever be possible. That
in your face, Al.
That we'd ever be able to harness as much power as the sun gives off here on Earth in America. There's a little fucking box that's getting as hot as the sun.
The unfortunate thing that you run into is everyone is about themselves. So when it starts to affect me, then I will drop to my knees and pray to the energy gods.
Well, electric vehicles are going to affect you, Trent. They're going to affect you in a positive way from Chevy because they've got these classic models that they've been rocking for years, for decades, that you've come to know and love. Frankie, I think the other day, saw a Blazer, a Chevy Blazer.
It was nighttime. We were in Bayshore. I was on the main street, and it was one of those things you're not really walking in the crosswalk. You're kind of trying to dodge around, and it's a really busy main street, all these restaurants, and they were coming right underneath. You know when they do the Christmas tinsel and the light across the main street?
Yep.
They were coming right under it, and I saw this red car, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I was on an angle. I didn't get to see the emblem. And as it turned around, it was like that GIF when you're walking with a girl, and then the one where he's walking, he turns around, he's like, "Ooh,
yeah,
the other girl."
That was a fucking Chevy that I saw. It was a Chevy Blazer, dude, red.
I'm telling you, you can buy now the Bolt EV and the Bolt EV. You can reserve now the Blazer EV and the Silverado EV. They're affordable. You don't have to be rich to have an EV. EVs for everyone, everywhere. Chevrolet. Fixing Frankie. So tonight, Thursday, it's going to be December 22nd, 2022, will be the long-anticipated debut of Fixing Frankie.
Christmas miracle. It's
It is a
insane.
Christmas
I can't believe it's
miracle.
actually coming out. We're working on it right now as we speak. It's Tuesday as we're recording this, so we have some work to do to get it out. But I just recorded a bunch of stuff in a dungeon, so I think I'm going to look like a piece of shit in this video, but it is what it is. It's very real. It's very honest. It's very raw. There's videos of me as a baby in this thing. There's videos of me drumming when I was 6 years old, like 11 years old. It's definitely a peek into like who I am as a person and why I'm so neurotic. I've always been kind of crazy, so I try and let people see a little bit of that. But at the end of this whole thing, I just hope people can take a little bit something into their own game, and you can sort of see that it's not all about hitting balls at the range, and it's not all about watching YouTube videos on swings and hitting putts. It's about like process and thinking and actually like paying attention to what you're doing. The game's really hard, and I just feel like I hit a wall of like, all right, I know kind of how to hit the golf ball, but why am I not getting better? I think a lot of people struggle with that. And is the answer therapy and like psychiatric help? I don't know, but it definitely helped me. So maybe at the end of this 20-something minute video, you can take something from it.
So it's sort of a little bit of a biopic. Is that what I'm gathering?
I mean, if we had more time, I would have gotten even more biopic-y for sure. I would have done the whole thing. I would have done the walk through the hometown, I would have went and saw my old social studies teacher, the whole deal. But we didn't have much time with that for editing purposes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fucking guy getting a lesson. Like
I was going to say, am I signing up for Breaking 92 here and I'm getting like the Truman Show? Like, what are we?
Yeah, it's got a little Frankie spin on it for sure. I mean,
Okay,
there's cinematography. Dr. Brett McCabe is legit. He's John Rahm's mental coach. He's Billy Horschel's mental coach, which is hilarious. Both guys are notorious like exploders over the golf ball when things go wrong. And like, why wouldn't I be the next in line in that group?
I mean, Breaking 90 is pretty stripped down, and that's part of what I like about it, and that matches, I guess, my personality to a degree. And Fixing Frankie, I think, is going to have some tricks, some twists, some cinematography, which is more Frankie's personality. I think it's going to be great.
I love it. I'm hyped up for it. I can't wait to watch. So tonight, are we doing? What time we're releasing it? Thursday night.
Do 6 o'clock, I believe. We'll do 7 o'clock.
Is every time we keep bringing this up, you're just like hating that we're putting a public deadline on it?
It's insane. It's absolutely insane because it's not even close to being done right now. And I got this pinched nerve in my neck, which is absolutely insane. I actually don't have a pinched nerve. I have a protruding disc in the C7.
Sounds a lot more serious than a pinched nerve.
It's way more serious, and it's more serious than herniation.
I mean, all right.
You know,
herniation.
A herniated disc is lower than a protruded disc.
I've never heard the term herniation before.
What?
I've never heard it used as a noun before. I mean, herniated, describing a disc, but I don't know if I've ever heard of herniation.
How about Carson Daly, who we had on the show, had back fusion surgery? We got all kinds of back issues.
Well, the problem is that I think all of my ailments that have happened over the last 2 or 3 years, my elbows, my wrists, my arms fall asleep when I'm sleeping. It's been a real struggle for me with like, I don't understand why I can't play the drums. Why do my wrists hurt? Why are my nerves hurting in my fingers? I thought it was an elbow injury. I thought it was a shoulder thing from playing baseball and throwing waterlogged balls in East Meadow High School because they never got us good baseballs. I always thought that was the issue. Was it all stemming from this neck? I never ever looked at the neck. I wake up every morning, I fucking crack my neck. I'm so stiff. I finally go and get an MRI, and they're like, yeah, this thing's fucked. Like the C7, where it is, that's what goes down to your fingertips. It goes down to your elbow. They show you the whole... it's basically a tree and all these vines of nerves. It all stems from that C7 disc. It's crazy. So it's like that could have been, no pun intended, the root of all my problems. And
Are
now,
we going to have a surgical
No,
future?
I can't. You can't get neck surgery. That's like, it's over then. Then you start, once you open that up and you start doing shit like that, I think it's bad.
Didn't Peyton Manning win a Super Bowl post neck surgery?
Yeah, but like
indeed.
some people like get addicted to like fucking pain meds and like can never get out of bed again after getting neck surgery.
Well,
so I'm not.
I just
that's
remember
not
just
my.
the neck.
That's not
neck.
my fucking. I'm not. That's not a risk I'm willing to take.
Oddly specific.
I don't. I think that's just surgery.
No, I think neck and back surgeries are really risky. I mean, you talk to a lot of people.
I
It's like
don't know there's a direct correlation between neck surgery and addiction to pain medication. I'm not.
well,
I remember Steve Kerr got
I
back
am.
surgery, and he was like, "Whatever you do, don't get back surgery. It's the worst idea.
it's
of
the
all
worst
time."
ever.
So-
It's so bad.
yeah.
And Carson Daly says it in the show that the worst part is you have to stay immobile for like a year. You have
Right.
to like everything's got to fuse together. I'm not getting fucking neck surgery. I'd rather never swing a golf club than get neck surgery. That's a fact. I'm not getting neck surgery. That's a fact.
I don't blame you. No, I agree. I think neck surgery is a problem. Same with the back. All right, Carson Daly. I know I mentioned a couple times he's on the show for like 45, 50 minutes. Phenomenal guest. Tons of great energy. He was willing to go places. Like, I'm glad that he brought up the Rory podcast and that, like, not working out. And he was just super honest about that. His early days in New York and TRL and Eminem and the whole deal. I just thought phenomenal interviewee.
He's still got the juice too. We're in the office right now.
Hell yeah.
And I mentioned to a couple people that we interviewed Carson Daly, and they were like, "Holy shit, that is a guy who I would love to talk to, and who is probably a great podcast guest." And they're right about that. He was, as soon as he jumped on, he was wearing the Islander hat, and he was just ready to roll. It's always good when you have a guest who, as soon as they pop on, the podcast starts. There's none of that like, "Hey, this is who we are. This is what we're going to talk about." He knew what the deal was. And he's just Carson fucking Daly, man. We say it on the podcast, but he's been cool for over 20 years.
I talked to Clutterbuck about it, New York Islander, and I was like, dude, what the fuck is this about? Carson Daly's like, you golf with him? He's like, dude, he may be one of my best friends. Nicest guy on the planet, goes to 25 Islander games a year, doesn't miss a home game. The only times he misses a home game is when he's on, like, national television and he just can't make it. The Voice or whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, he's going on the 23rd, like, right before Christmas. It's insane. Carson Daly is the man. Really good golfer and just all around good guy.
I loved his perspective on never getting used to his circumstances. Right, he was talking about how throughout the whole TRL run and still to this day, he just felt like a fan who was given the keys, and he never lost that sort of innocence. And one of my favorite moments since joining the show is, you guys will hear in a second, but I'm asked, I'm like, "Yo, so were you going out with all these guys?" He was like, "Fuck yeah,
yeah."
It was just great.
Excellent guest. So people are gonna love him. He's uber famous. He does have the juice to the point where I was pretty nervous going in, and then he just disarms you immediately by being a really normal, cool, down-to-earth guy. So huge golfer, and a fantastic interview. So that's coming up. And then we're going to do another show next week that we have Aaron Wise on, who I saw he's in the Masters field. The reason I saw that is because the secondary news in the golf Twitter space today was that the Masters tournament, Fred Ridley released a statement. In that statement, they basically said, we're sending out the invites this time of year. We are not changing really anything, which is essentially saying yes to all of the conversation, all the noise, if you will, about will live players be banned? Will Augusta do anything bold? They're basically the 6 words from the entire statement that you need to know. Are those eligible under our current criteria? Are those that will be invited, which means they released a statement to essentially say, our statement is that we're stating that we're just going to do it like we've always done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep. But it is interesting, though, because they're not making a secret of the fact that they're not fans of live golf. He said it at the Masters in April. He said he doesn't think it's good for the game. And Ridley said it again in this statement saying, there are certain things that have happened that have degraded the legacies of guys. But I guess, yeah, they're basically saying it's not our position to like strike the fatal blow in this battle.
Which I tweeted out. I thought the statement, including that paragraph, which I thought was a scathing paragraph.
It was stronger than I expected it to be. Yeah.
I thought that combined with them just saying we're not doing anything was a weird move. And I thought it was a weird move because there's only a few entities on planet Earth that can actually do something, that could do anything that would affect in any way the live golf, PGA Tour, the defections, something. And the Masters is one of them, to the point that I looked it up earlier. The Masters releasing this statement today was the number 3rd trending thing in the United States of America. So the Masters is insanely influential. And their statement today literally said, we're just going to do it the way we've always done it. And then these other words. I found it weird that they would be that scathing to the point where they said, regrettably, recent actions have divided men's professional golf by diminishing the virtues of the game and the meaningful legacies of those who built it. That's being fucking harsh on live and everything that's happened. They went on to say, although we are disappointed in these developments, our focus is to honor the tradition of bringing together a preeminent field of golfers this coming April. The Masters is invite only. So it's like, if you are going out there and saying what these folks have done or what's occurred in the last 6 months, 8 months has been devastating and diminishing to the things that we hold dear in golf, but we're going to invite everyone. That seemed like a weird fucking statement to me.
It's a bit of a cop-out. I mean,
Right.
They're buying themselves time, is what they're doing. What I did find a little bit interesting, and sort of not to play devil's advocate, but there was a little bit more in the statement about, we reserve the right to change our criteria moving forward. So there's a chance that they, in April, because that's when they lay out changes for the criteria,
They
they
kick
say,
the can down the road, right? Is that pretty much what they did there?
they kick the can down the road big time. But if they don't add the guys who won the Masters are always going to be able to play in the Masters, I think. Like that's to me is kind of a no-brainer. So those 6 guys who I think it's Phil, Bubba, DJ, Sergio, Reed, and Schwartzel, those guys who won the Masters, and those guys are going to be able to play. It's the guys like Joaquin Neiman or Abraham Answer or Jason Kokrak, the guys who are getting in right now via their world ranking because they still banked a lot of world ranking points last year when they were still playing on the PGA Tour. If Augusta doesn't change their criteria in April, it's going to be really, really hard for those guys to get in, like a Taylor Gooch, because they're just going to have way less events to be able to get world ranking points. So I'm really, really curious to see. Maybe they say, we're going to not go by the world ranking anymore. We're only going to have this criteria, or we're going to have our own Masters rankings, and the top, X guys, they can do whatever they want because they're not beholden to anyone. But I think you're right, Riggs. I think it was kind of a classic kick the can down the road.
I love it. I think it's great drama.
Yeah.
Give me all the drama of all time. Like I got a fucking tweet today. I said, give me all the drama. And someone said, what do you mean? You've been sucking off the PGA Tour for those credentials. Don't act like you're pumped for this now. Fucking zero integrity. What are you talking about? Like,
that doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't even make sense. We don't get any credentials. At the end of the day, why is this not a good move for golf? You can't argue. You won't be able to convince me that it's not. Like, it's always going to be the best move for golf to have the best players play in the best tournament.
For sure.
That is a fucking fact. I don't care where they are. I don't care who they pray to. I don't care who they get their money from. I don't care what color they are. If they're playing and if they're the best golfers on the planet, they should play at the Masters. That's a fact.
Especially given where we are now with LIV. Like, as it is a hot button issue still always going to be in golf, but it's not where it was 11 months ago. Like, at that point, nobody wanted to say anything because they were afraid of all of the backlash that everybody gets. Now, LIV is a part of the golf stratosphere. Everybody knows it. Everybody has largely accepted it, especially viewers. So now the best way to get eyeballs, and, who knows if Augusta is all that worried about eyeballs because they are the Masters. People are going to watch pretty much no matter what, but a way to juice it up even a little bit more is throw all of these guys who have been publicly beefing for the last couple of months, throw them in the same tournament, throw them in a couple of the same tee times, and just see what happens. Now, it's a little similar to everyone wanting Brooks and Bryson to be paired together at the US Open or whatever. What we initially thought would happen, or probably would happen, is nothing. They're just going to be like, yeah, we're all part of this thing. People know that we have beef, but we're not going to punch each other on the tee box as everybody wants. But it'll be a little bit spicier if you get Phil and Rory in the same group. I don't think anything actually would happen, but the chances are at least higher than if the guys weren't
They're
involved.
also avoiding an asterisk.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to deal. Is it asterisk?
Asterisk.
Yes.
Okay. You want to say the in there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's not asterisk.
Asterisk.
I think you could.
TER.
I think you could. Either one is fine.
You're avoiding that.
Asturd?
Asterisk. You're avoiding that because, like, a guy like fucking Tiger Woods wins this year. Oh, but he didn't. But Cam Smith wasn't there, and Dustin Johnson wasn't there, and Phil Mickelson wasn't there. It's like you just don't want to deal with that.
I do
shit.
think Dan is right, and I think you tweeted it, maybe even said it on the show, that they are deciding that it's not their fight. That they don't. It's the PGA Tour versus LIV. It's not Augusta versus LIV. Now they've been critical of LIV, but they're not going to say, Dustin Johnson and all these guys can't participate.
How far we've come from the days that they made like Tiger Woods like apologize to the world.
Oh,
I know.
that guy called him out, scolded him publicly.
Now you can like play for guys who like murder journalists and like murder gay people, but like Tiger Woods had to come out and be like, I'm sorry for personal mistakes with my family and like my wife. It's like, that's insane how far we've come from that. Fuck them, honestly, for that.
Couldn't agree more with you. I thought it was a little gutless. I thought the statement was a little bit gutless, of like, it almost reminded me a little bit of Phil's statement of like, yep, I know these people are horrific, but I'm using it as leverage. It was like, by putting those words out there in this same statement, you are saying like, yeah, this has been devastating for the virtues of the game, for the history of the game, for the legacies people have built. This is fucking awful. but we're not going to do shit about it. I thought that came off as a little bit gutless. Having said that, it's unanimously, in my opinion, the right move. I think you need to let everybody play. It's better for the game. It'll be better for the entertainment aspect of it. It'll be better for the future of it. But I do not think you can have those two paragraphs in there together and not be viewed as a little bit of a cop-out.
Maybe they'll use this to have Phil Mickelson fucking like finally ask the questions that we all want him to answer. Maybe they'll do a Tiger-esque press conference where like, hey, you want to play in this? You have to fucking answer for everything that you've said like legitimately, or else you're not coming in here.
I agree with you, Riggs. You're kind of selling me. There is this, this sort of darker side of this that we have to talk about, which is like for the majors, this is, I don't want to say it's a good thing, but it further cements them as the pinnacle of the sport.
It's definitely a good thing if for the majors.
If you're one of the four majors,
yes.
right? You're above the fray. You're the Champions League of golf now, right? The players can go play in their tours and they can go play in the RBC Heritage and they can go play in Live Chicago. But really, the only tournaments anyone really wants to watch where everyone's playing against each other are 4 of them per year, and the Masters is first. So they are probably thinking like, yeah, this is terrible what you were saying before, and it's a bit of playing both sides. It's terrible. We don't like it. But at the same time, we are now more at the pinnacle of the sport than we've ever been before.
100%.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's why, if you're in those rooms and you're looking out for numero uno, if you're Masters tournament, if you're the U.S. Open, you have to make this call. I 100% agree with that. I want to see it. I don't want to see Cam Smith and DJ and Joaquin Niemann are sidelined and not at the Masters. That would stink. The thing is, if they're kicking the can down the road here, everyone else is going to do the same, because the United States Golf Association, 90+% of their revenue every year comes from the U.S. Open. So if that U.S. Open is not the biggest that it could possibly be, and they're driving as much revenue as they possibly can, it affects their bottom line, not just for that year, but for years to come. They have to make adjustments. They have to figure out where they can spend money. And you think the R&A is pretty damn similar, the PGA of America pretty damn similar. They don't have really the option. And so another part that stuck out to me as a little bit of cop-out is like, I do think Augusta has a little bit more of the flexibility. They're independent. They're not sitting on like they're dwindling out of money. They got fucking endless money, and everybody knows that. They're spending however many tens of millions of dollars to lengthen the 13th tee box by fucking 50 yards or 30 yards. Like, they don't struggle with money. So I just thought, again, if you're gonna come out and be like pretty scathing statement about the things that have occurred in the last 8 months and those that are responsible or that have enabled it, and you're in as probably flexible of a position as anyone to do something about it or to make a call or to do something bold, and then you just say you're not going to do it, I thought that came off as pretty weak to me.
Do you think this causes anybody to jump?
No, because I think everyone expected this. I mean, I don't think this is a surprise, right? Like, I didn't think we think that they were going to drop the hammer.
I don't know. I would imagine there's got to be at least a couple guys who are like, let's see what happens with the majors, and then we'll make a decision.
But I don't think this is the final answer about what's going to happen with the major. It's really, I still think it comes down to the world rankings. Like, all 4 majors still use the world ranking as their chief criteria for getting in. As long as that continues to be the case, and as long as Liv doesn't get world ranking points, that obstacle is still there for a guy like Niemann, for a guy like Gooch. If they stop using the world rankings and they decide, okay, we're going to use the top 30 from the PGA Tour and the top 12 from Liv and the top, then I think you might see some minds change and some negotiations to reopen.
You got to live somewhere, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. CrossCountry Mortgage is going to help you do that. We've spoken extensively about the difficulties of the home buying process, of the home refinancing, of doing restorations, renovations at your home, whatever it might be. These are most likely going to be the biggest purchase or the biggest purchases of your life.
That's a fact. I mean, unless you're making massive amounts of like hundreds of thousands of dollar purchases, I just don't see that happening for the average person.
Well, in which case you're super rich, and I'd be shocked if you're listening to the show because you have better, more fun things to do with all of your rich money that you have. But if you are a normal person out there listening, you're going to acquire a home, you're going to take out a mortgage, CrossCountry Mortgage is going to help you do that better than anyone else. They're going to become your friend throughout the process. much like has occurred with our dear Frankie Borelli.
Chris Devon in Massachusetts, Boston-based CrossCountry Mortgage guy. Yeah, it's a massive, massive decision you have to make. It's stressful. It's scary. And they would just walk you through it. 10 o'clock phone calls, 11 o'clock phone calls I was getting. They send you a video with all of the breakdown. It's an amazing company that genuinely wants to get you the right stuff. And you just don't want to get swindled in this time. You don't want to get swindled.
Nope. You sure don't. Go see if you qualify today. Go to ccm.com/barstool now. That is ccm.com/barstool. See if you qualify today. CrossCountry Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. I got a question for you. Is Angel Cabrera invited to play in the Masters?
I think he's going to be incarcerated.
I believe he's in prison.
No, I
He
know.
got another 28 months.
That's my question. Is he invited to play in the Masters? Is he on this invite list?
Does he get an invitation? I have no idea.
Well, because what was stated earlier was that like those that win the Masters are invited for life. Is Angel Cabrera, who won the Masters, invited this year?
I wonder,
Do we know?
is there a stipulation like the NFL like upholding the shield where
They can do whatever the hell they want. There's no rules, I don't think.
it is? We got to keep an eye on Angel Cabrera's mailbox because it would be interesting.
Well, I'm trying to look at this list, and it's not really. Well, it is alphabetical. I don't see him on here, and I could just be missing. I'm looking at it in real time, trying to go through this. But my point would be like, clearly they are then saying we do have a threshold of like, we don't just, if you won the Masters, you get guaranteed to get invited every time, no matter what. So if they don't invite Angel Cabrera, my point is like clearly that what Liv, maybe you don't agree that they've gone as far as what he did to deserve prison time. But if they're clearly making like, we have a moral ground that we stand on, that we have a line that we don't cross, then like, then you could also argue like, okay, if you're going to release this scathing statement, where is your line and how come this doesn't cross it?
Well, I think that's why Liv went after the former Masters champions so aggressively. Guys like Charles Schwartzel is to like tie their hands a little bit. Like if it's one guy, if it's Phil Mickelson, you could say, I think he's been bad for the game. But now it's like, you're going to say that about Sergio, you're going to say that about DJ, about who's been like, I just want the money. I got no problems with anybody.
I do sneaky love how strategic they've been throughout the whole thing.
The Stenson thing was downright Machiavellian.
Yeah. Totally. The Koepka move, getting his brother, and then like just forgetting about his brother.
I mean, they offered Matt's little brother, multiple $1 million when he's just starting out as a professional golfer. It's like, they've thought about this a lot.
It's maniacal.
Imagine being in the room in that Champions dinner, man. Like Phil's ostensibly going to show up, and Sergio's going to be there, and Tiger and Fred Couples have said all this crazy shit.
I don't think that's going to matter. I don't think anyone's going to care at that point. Like when they're in that room, I don't think anyone's going to care.
It's going to be awkward a little bit. I mean, Fred Couples has come out and said, like, Phil Mickelson's a clown. I'm never speaking to that guy again. Like, there's definitely going to be some guys who are seeing each other for the first time or talking for the first time in that room.
Will say if it doesn't happen at that Champions dinner, then it's definitely not happening. Like, this is as hot as it's been, as hot as those rivalries have been in terms of picking sides. I would err on the side of them just being like, what, we're all just millionaires sitting in a room. Like, what are we going to...
Does Scotty Scheffler say something like very... tongue-in-cheek or like a backhanded thing towards the live guys, like when he gives his toast?
He's too nice, isn't he?
He might be, but he's also like a prince of the tour or whatever we're naming those like top echelon guys that have stayed. I feel like he might say something that just kind of gets like a little bit of a chuckle or a murmur across the table, being like, "Ooh."
I'll tell you what, and I'm always a headline guy, been that way forever. If we hear that a scuffle broke out at the Champions dinner, I'm going to be thrilled.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Boner.
Like a Gary Player throwing hands.
Like normally, these things happen at like award shows when beefing rappers, they get in the same building and it's just chaos. I would love for it to be golf's turn in that arena. And like Gary Player's at the bottom of a pile, like holding somebody with a chokehold. Like that's, again, it's something that I can look at now because Liv is just a part of the golf stratosphere. That would be pretty amazing.
Phil should walk in dressed like in Saudi Arabian culture clothing. like full on heel, like he's the fucking enemy, and they're like throwing petals at his feet and shit. Like he acts like he's a fucking prince. That would be unbelievable. I mean, they should make this into a reality TV show.
It's
AKA
that Will Ferrell movie
Netflix,
that you were trying to get made, Trent.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be it writes itself because it's a parody that is so easy, but it's going to happen in real life. Those guys are all going to be in the same room together, and they get to decide how they react to one another.
Dinner for schmucks.
Last thing I got, and then we're going to throw it to Carson Daly. Corn Ferry Tour members will earn Corn Ferry Tour points by making the cut at the U.S. Open. I'm bringing this up because this very much could affect our guy, Alistair Doherty. One of the dumbest things of all time is that people basically that were trying to play for their livelihood and earning Corn Ferry Tour points will literally change their status and get them on the PGA Tour and change their life. Had to choose if they qualify for the U.S. Open between playing in, what is it, the Wichita event that week or something?
Yeah, I think Wichita.
Or playing in the U.S. Open, because if they make the cut in the U.S. Open or they do well at the U.S. Open, but they don't win the whole thing, yeah, they get a paycheck, but they don't get any points. And so it would actually be an opportunity cost for them to go play the U.S. Open over the Corn Ferry Tour event that week. They changed that. They came out with the rule that if you make the cut at the U.S. Open, Corn Ferry Tour will now award points to you for doing so. So that's good news for our guy.
I want to say I think Alistair went out to get a lesson or do some stuff with David Woods. So it was my first time seeing Alistair's not really a big like post his own swing kind of guy. It's my first time watching his move. Holy shit, dude! Holy shit, that guy crushes the ball. And
yeah,
I love his golf swing. I love how hard he exits left. I love how shot. I think he's gonna. I am very very positive on his chances going forward after looking at his golf swing. Bullish, that's the word.
Yeah, we played with him and Brandel and Brandel's wife Bailey on Thursday too, and Brandel tweeted out some videos because he was all hyped about it because Alistair's, I don't know, 5'9", 5'10", something like that.
Speed.
And his swing speed is like in the 125. He's gotten it up to 128 before, hits the ball a mile. So Brandel was kind of gushing over it too. Look, the guy can hit the golf ball. There's no doubt about it. Our guy Alistair, who we're pretty much locked in, he is. So people understand Alistair will be wearing Barstool Golf, Foreplay, Barstool in general, merchandise as a professional golfer. We're paying him to do so. He's going to have like sponsored commitments. He's going to come to like a classic. He's going to be on the podcast once a quarter, which we're writing in there. He'll come on whenever he wants. He's our guy. But like we're writing up right now a very legitimate legal contract for our guy Alistair to support his ass on the Corn Ferry Tour and hope that he makes it. So hearing that news about his swing, people gushing over it, Brandel being like, holy shit, let me get videos of this. The guy can swing the golf club.
I'm glad he's become a part of kind of our universe, Riggs. I know you spent a lot of time with him. I got to meet him at the Barstool Classic Championship, and I feel myself getting emotionally invested in him, and that makes me a little bit nervous. I want him to do as well as he possibly can.
Yeah.
I love that he's going to be repping the brand. It's something that I have now in my life that I'm going to be keeping close tabs on, that has the potential to devastate me, but also has the potential to bring me a lot of joy.
He has to succeed.
No choice.
I mean, if he does, like, he has to for himself. He has to for us. He's got to succeed. There's a lot of pressure. I mean, there's no fucking sugarcoating. Like, trying to become a professional golfer is not a sugarcoat. Oh, if you try, it's gonna be all right. Like, we still love you. I'm not gonna love him if he doesn't fucking succeed. He's got to succeed, and he's gonna. He wants that fire, dude. He's a fucking pro golfer. You kidding me?
He does.
Totally. No, he can handle
nuts?
it for sure.
He does have that fire. Dude, I got lucky. I randomly met him a year and a half ago out here in Arizona because he was caddying at Silverleaf to try to save up money so that he could try to play on the Corn Ferry Tour and get his status, which he obviously ended up doing. But the first time we showed up, somebody had portrayed he's going to have this match and maybe there'll be a camera there. I think it was our boy Hanky Panky. And he showed up and shot like 64. And then when we were hanging out later that night, he's like, dude, this was presented to me like there were going to be fucking cameras here. This was going to be posted all over the place and that you had been talking shit. So I came for fucking blood today. And then we were talking, having a couple beers. And he was like, Riggs, it's not a question of if or whatever. I will be on the PGA Tour. I'm going to win major championships. And I was like, you're our guy. And so obviously it's been a year and a half, whatever it's been. But now for him to get through Q school, the whole deal, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like for us. In a couple weeks and, whatever, a month, I guess, mid-January, his season starts up. And he's got 8 starts. And that's a lot. But, like, if it starts to go south, there's not really much of a future after 8 starts if you don't, earn the points. He's extremely confident he will. I am too. He's got to make some cuts, play decently, and he'll get plenty of starts and play throughout the entire year. But like right away, dude, it's not like he's got this 5-year lease on professional golfing life. It's like, dude, we're barely got through Q School finals, and now we're just right back up. It's like the World Cup final. It's like every game is now all of a sudden just the biggest game of all time. It's like every tournament he plays in is just the biggest tournament of his life now.
But it is amazing just 8, having those 8 starts versus it just being 1 start. When we spoke to him on the podcast, it's just such a huge difference because when you're a guy of his ability and of his confidence level, like you said, he is sure that that's enough, which is
I'm
great.
stressed.
Like,
I'm already stressed. Straight up.
So go, Alistair. Good luck. And I think other than throwing it to our dear Carson Daly, I think that's pretty much all I got. Anybody got anything pressing they want to get off their chest before the holiday break here?
Something pressing on my C7 disc.
All right.
No, I don't think I got nothing.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh,
Happy Hanukkah.
I found out what was going. Well, I don't know what's going on with that noise in my attic, but I found the root of the problem. I went up there while it was making the noise, and I finally I got it.
What's the problem?
It's like something inside this fucking here. Look, I'll show you. It's something inside this pipe, and it makes a loud noise. So basically, maybe we can.
We knew that, right?
Listen. Right here every night.
Oh, that would drive me
it's
crazy.
like a chain clicking or something.
So what I'm looking at for anyone listening audio, I'm basically looking at my heating and air conditioning unit, and there is a pipe that goes into it, and then there's also a PVC pipe. Inside the PVC pipe, it sounds like it's bringing in air, like, and then you hear. So whether that's like a fan that's like hitting something, but that you hear a whoosh, and then you hear a click, and then you hear a whoosh, and you hear a click.
You should tweet that video.
I think I'm gonna. I'll include it. We'll include it maybe in the
should.
podcast. I'll put it on YouTube. Yeah, that's my attic right there. It's a huge system, and I finally found it. It was great to when you hear something and you're like, "Where's that coming?" It felt like the Fly episode from Breaking Bad, where you're like, "I know this fucking thing's in here somewhere." And every time we got someone to come over, they would like, "I don't hear anything. You're probably going crazy. It's probably that C7 disc in your neck. Like I don't know what's actually happening." But I'm like, "I'm telling you guys, I can't sleep." And we found it. So that was my last
Congrats.
thing. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Riggs, I'm looking one last thing. I'm looking at the Augusta thing, and it just says it has Cabrera listed under past champions not playing. Now, whether he voluntarily put himself on the list or they put him on that list, I'm not sure.
Another fucking cop out from Angel Cabrera just not playing. Doesn't say if he wasn't invited. All right. I see what's going on there. All right. Everybody have a great weekend. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays. I know there's a lot of holidays out there.
So this is it before Christmas.
Yeah.
This is it.
I got to be honest. We did not hit Christmas that hard this year. I thought we were gonna. We didn't do anything.
No, we did that last year. We hit Christmas hard last
But
year.
we said we were gonna go hard this year.
My tree, I put my tree up myself. It's nice. But yeah, I didn't do
I've been
anything
hitting
else.
Christmas very hard at my house. I have
At the village.
extremely decorated. I'm talking it. Every room you walk into, there's twinkling lights. There's music being played.
Yeah, you showed me a video. Your house it's the North Pole.
It's the North Pole.
Dude,
It's
well,
but
there's a
I
little
just
bit-
feel like we didn't do much for the people. But it's okay.
As an adult, like it's a little different. You help like your mom and your parents set up Christmas, and then like afterwards, you kind of just go back to your dumbass life, and they just take it all down and whatever. It's like now as an adult, if I put all that stuff up,
Yeah, you just
I
gotta
gotta
take it
take
down.
all that shit down.
I know. We did like preparation. We bought like bins that will now house all of the stuff.
Oh yeah.
And they're red and green bins. So like when you throw up in the attic, like those are the Christmas things. And like the Halloween bins are black and orange. I mean, it's extremely organized.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that stuff. I just kind of just like said okay. But yeah, I could see that being a nightmare. I'm not looking forward to that at all.
No,
Taking
so
down
that
the
might have
ornaments.
contributed
Ugh.
to my Oh God,
Each
one at a
one's got to be
time.
protected.
Ugh,
Insanity.
What do you need, newspaper for
Insanity.
that? Do we even get the news anymore?
I don't know.
Dude, or you got to put them back in like the perfect plastic cutouts that they came in. The
Oh, those
ornaments,
things-
you know.
and
those
the
were the
hooks
death of
are
me.
are a nightmare.
Those were the death
Come
of me,
on.
by the way. We bought like because we have a bunch of fun ornaments. That's been like the thing people have been getting us is like a fun ornament.
ornaments.
I have like a Coca-Cola bottle. It's great. It's awesome. It's wearing a little scarf. The Coca-Cola bottle's wearing a little scarf. It's great. It
I like
looks
that.
ice cold. But we got like standard ones that came in that fucking cutout box, and that was a nightmare because they fit so firmly in there that you can't get them out. And then when you squeeze to get them out, they broke in your hand. I was going crazy getting those things out.
That's why we didn't do a lot of Christmas.
Yeah, didn't really get into it.
Favorite Christmas movie?
Elf.
Although I've been watching the Santa Claus a lot.
That's my number one.
It's a really good
Santa
one.
Claus is my number one. He's so good in that.
God, Tim Allen was made for that movie.
He was.
Yeah.
It's just everything. Like the lead up is amazing. Him going to the doctor is amazing. Everything about it.
I love Christmas Vacation as well.
Yep. Home Alone.
Oh, I've been watching Home Alone a lot. Home Alone 2 is just as good as the first. I would say
The
Elf.
Batman. Yeah.
I'm sticking with Elf.
Home Alone 2, one of the better sequels in history.
It's like
really.
it's like them and The Godfather 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
It's like it.
Yeah.
22 Jump Street.
Is that a Christmas
Top
movie?
Gun's up
Oh,
there.
you're talking about
No,
sequels.
no.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that was better than 21. Just watched it recently.
Those movies I
The new
don't know.
Top
as-
Gun's better than the original. I don't care what like the old people say.
No, I don't agree with that.
I haven't seen any of them.
It's got everything the original had. It's just better.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great. I just don't think it's as good as the first.
Oh. The graphics to me just send it over the top. If you're gonna give me one or the other, I gotta
Yeah,
take
but
the
you
new
can't I don't know. I'm not a believer you can hold that against like they
one. You
did. The best
can
could
because
in
they
that
also
time.
hit you with the heartstrings. It's the same actors in it. They did
Yeah,
a
but it's the same actors
fantastic
because
job.
of like the first one was so good. That's why it's the same people, right? Like they did so good in the first one that like they were able to just like copy it basically.
That's just an advantage of the second one. It is. You know?
That means we're done for the.
There's inherent advantages to being a sequel.
It
We're
is.
done for the year. I thought like the football scene just wasn't as good as the volleyball scene when they're on the beach. Like the volleyball one is way better. I thought way better.
The flight sequences were.
I just guess so I haven't seen any of them, so I can't speak to it. But if you're going to give credit to the second one, how good it is, you do have to give credit to the first one for allowing the second one to exist.
But like Harry Potter, I don't love I love the first one because it sets up everything. But there's definitely other movies I like more than the Sorcerer's Stone. Only because like it's set up like where Hogwarts is and who Harry is. Like I have to just love Sorcerer's Stone.
I don't think it has
more.
to be it's not
Like
the
I love
end all
Order
and
of the
be
Phoenix
all.
more. I don't know.
It's not the end all and be all, but it's certainly a factor.
The books, I just feel like anything book related is different because like the writer got better at writing. Like J.K. Rowling was like way better as a writer when she's 2, 3, 4 books in. She was way more mature
Can you say
of a
about
writer.
a sequel
so naturally
though?
the
Can you say about a
storyline.
sequel? Like they have like they're able to expand on characters. Like the Iceman now has like more of a story to him and stuff. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of stuff going on because like years have passed, more dramas ensued.
The Iceman was in for like 5 minutes. He was in the movie.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You know, that was an emotional 5 minutes. Let me tell you.
Very emotional.
Empire Strikes
Yeah,
Back.
that one popped up too to me. Empire Strikes Back is so fucking good.
That's number 5.
Yeah, but it was really
really
it was
number-
really the
Number
sequel.
Number 2.
Yeah.
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 There's a lot of good ones. I just think Home Alone's up there. Home
Yeah,
Alone 2
for
is
sure.
up there.
For definitely, no doubt.
All right. Speaking of up there, Carson Daly, all-time guest, definitely up there. Apologies to Foreplay Tracker from Frankie for his mix-up.
Riggs Tracker, I guess. I'm sorry. I don't know. He called me a
yeah.
dickhead.
We got to apologize to everybody who calls us dickheads. It's going to be a long show.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not that serious. It's fucking.
Nothing.
No.
That is the takeaway for, I would say, internet content viewers. Nothing is that serious. None of it. Nothing that we've done throughout our history on the internet is remotely serious enough for someone to comment to you,
you-
you're a dickhead.
I mean,
Bro, I ruined the
sarcastic
show. I
dickhead he called you?
single-handedly.
Yeah, he's like, you kind of shit on me on today's podcast. I'm just trying to help, fucking dickhead. It's like, help what? I don't know. Every person that listens to the show, I gotta fucking, I don't know, give you the keys to the Barstool Golf Society? God, Carson Daly.
Well, we apologize. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy holidays in general, whatever you're celebrating. And then we'll be back next week. We got one show next week. We're going to throw it to Carson Daly. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit hard.
Hard.
All right, I showed you guys my recovery the other day after the World Cup final started at 8 a.m. local time here. I went to the Barstool Scottsdale bar. It was 1%. I would like to announce that I'm better today.
98?
98%.
98. Have you ever gotten to 99? Is this an all-time high?
I don't know if I've gotten that high on the recovery. My sleep was at 100, which you can do pretty fairly. But to get everything up there, my HRV, 84. My resting heart rate down. It still should be lower, but compared to where it was, it's at 55. My sleep was 7 hours and 3 minutes, but I also took a little nap yesterday evening to help recover. So you add all that up. Respiratory rate at 16.2. You can go deeper into this with your strain. My strain yesterday was solid. You can get going too. This is the Whoop 4.0.
You know what they do? They do like a Spotify Wrapped thing with your Whoop. I got that the other day, so it shows you like how many times you got 100% sleep, what your strain was like. It showed, I think I had 199% recovery. It shows like what was your highest recovery of the year, what was your longest sleep of the year. So if you're into all that, if you're into like knowing your numbers at the end of the year, which I personally am.
How'd you do this year? Did you have a good year?
I had an okay year. I mean, when you're tracking my health and fitness, there's going to be some lulls and there's going to be some peaks and valleys, a lot of valleys. But it was
you
cool.
Gotta manage expectations.
Yeah, how's the treadmill been going? How's the treadmill been going, by the way?
Let's not talk about it. All right, let's focus on
what we
for 3 weeks.
What we should talk about is Whoop.com, WHOOP.com, and we should talk about the code 4, and we should talk about getting 10% off any membership today. That's Whoop.com, and the code 4, you save 10% off. But I'm looking at blood oxygen, 97%. It says it needs to be within 95 to 100, so that's great. Green. I got skin temperature from baseline. It says near -1 to plus 0.7. I'm at +1, so I'm right in there, right near there, which you want to be. So it gives you all this information on the Whoop 4.0. Go check it out, Whoop.com. You're going to get the code 4. You're going to get 10% off any membership today.
Dude, look at that Islanders hat. What are you doing right now?
What's up?
That's my team. I am like completely diehard. I bleed blue and orange.
Oh, dude, us too. Us too. Yeah, my 13-year-old is right here. We go to we went to like we live in Manhasset, so we're like 20 minutes away from UBS. So we go to like over 20 games a year, and most of those dudes live around here. So
yeah, dude, I'm always over there with those guys. This is insane. I did not know Carson Daly was.
Clutterbuck's a good friend, and we heard all about the golf.
Yeah, we played a scramble against them. I don't know if you've seen the video.
I've seen it, of course. I've seen it a million times. I loved all of just the running theme is just how goddamn good looking Barzy is, which is just jarring in any sense because it's true. I loved it. That was great.
He is just a man rocket, that guy. He's
really
striking.
Wow. I did not expect that. That's great that you're an Islanders fan.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. This is too good. So let's just hop right in.
Yeah.
We're joined by
I got the little lockers right next to me. I got the pot
Look at this guy.
right here. Oh yeah, it's unbelievable.
Let me ask, if we're starting, we're joined by Carson Daly. I have a question about the Islander thing. Well, you grew up in California, though, no?
Yeah, I did. I grew up in LA, and I have no real hockey history other than a buddy of mine growing up. His uncle was the equipment manager for the Kings, so I had this vivid memory when I was like 13, going to the Fabulous Forum, which is what it was then in LA, and seeing the purple and gold Kings with Marcel Dion and Bernie Nichols. And I mean, I only know this because it just was such a great memory to me. Those were the only hockey games I went to, and it was just a few. And I got to go in the Kings locker room, and I remember the pucks were in like this big freezer, and it just was this lasting memory. But other than that, I don't have a large history of being a.
Did they have Gretzky? Was that like the Gretzky team?
Before that, they had.
Yeah.
They had, they had. I never forget because I was on the glass, and they had a fighter, and I've asked Clutterbuck about him. His name was Tiger Williams, and he was just a goon, and his nose was on the fucking side of his face. And I remember staring at this guy's face through the plexiglass as a kid, and it was like seeing a monster. It was amazing.
So you went to Samo High, I just saw?
Yeah. I went to Santa Monica High, and
I'm from that area, so I know it very well.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a huge hockey town. No. So I love that you've gotten out.
Yeah, well, we
That
moved
was
along
like the
and the hockey, the central.
the time in hockey then was pre like lockout and when they changed the rules and clutch and grab, and the fighting back then when you're talking about with Tiger Williams and stuff was ruthless. They would beat the shit out of each other. You had Craig McTavish, I remember, was the last guy still going with no helmet. He played hockey with no helmet until like the late 90s or early 2000s. So that was like real hockey.
The masks I don't think were really evolved yet. They were still kind of like Michael Myers, it was just like, so they were, for a kid and you're like 10 or 12 and you're just going, it's hockey, and by the way, like I'm from like a golfing family. So like the juxtaposition of going at like the height of violent hockey in the late 80s as a kid was just so memorable and just so awesome. I miss
Frankie, how long are you going to wait before you ask to go to a game with Carson Daly?
We could talk about this all day. We'll go to a game.
We're going to St. Louis. We're going.
I'll see you there. We are going to go to games for sure, Carson. I mean, I'm telling you right now, you'll never see a bigger psychopath at a hockey game than me. So hopefully, like, you don't like want to run away from me after we go to the game. But I love that team. We're going to watch that. We have to talk about golf because I've been reading up on you. You're an insane golfer. Your history with golf is ridiculous. You're obsessed with this game, just like we are. Can you talk to us a little bit about like how did you get into this? Like how the golf world? You obviously tried to be a pro golfer. Yep. Was that like how you started this?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad to be here with you guys because I love what you guys have done for the game. I had a podcast for a hot second with Rory, and we were trying to just kind of do something similar, and then COVID hit, and I got blown out of the water. But golf is like at the epicenter of my life and my soul. I love golf, not for being a sport, but for the metaphor that it is for my life. It's very intertwined with my family history. It goes back to, I lost my dad of cancer when I was 5, and my mom remarried to my stepdad, who would go on to they'd stay married for many, many years, forever. They passed away a couple years ago. But my stepdad would go on to be my hero in my life. And our relationship grew through the game of golf, which he was an avid golfer. And so, yeah, like in Southern California in the late 80s, nobody, golf, this is before Tiger and I grew up playing junior golf together. So I have a million stories about, us. There wasn't a lot of kids in Southern California, who played golf. It wasn't the cool thing to do. Michael Jordan hadn't come out and popularized the sport, Nike, the big branding and all of that. It was just like, only losers played in California. Everybody's surfing and at the beach. And so Tiger and I always joke about that. And Jason Gore and a couple guys who grew up in SoCal. So I got bit by the golfing bug, played in high school. I was a terrible student. It got me to college. I went to Loyola Marymount University. It turns out my stepdad, his college roommate was Father Tom Higgins, who was the golf coach at LMU. And he basically like got me into college. Otherwise I never would have got in. I ended up dropping out of college and moving to Palm Springs, California to really try and give golf a shot professionally to some degree. So I tried to qualify for the US Open when I was 18. I was about a scratch golfer. And long story short, that just didn't really pan out for me. And I ended up interning in radio. And that's where my life just went a completely different direction. And I got into radio and television, but golf is still the thing for me all the way around.
Am I reading that you caddied growing up at a pretty famous golf course?
I did. I grew up in LA and I caddied at Riviera Country Club, where I played my high school golf. I made all my money in high school there. I caddied for, I had a million stories about that. There was a lot of, I caddied for OJ Simpson.
Did you caddy? I was going to ask, did you caddy for OJ Simpson?
OJ Simpson.
Yeah. I caddied for OJ as a kid, and he was close with my family. I played golf behind his group the day before the murder.
Jesus.
Which was pretty insane.
What?
And,
so you were watching on the news and you were like, yeah, I played golf basically next to him yesterday.
That. You knew him. I knew Sydney. I knew the kids. I saw Juice like right after that golf round, and he was eating lunch in the grill, and I was, we were just kind of talking, and he was like, I got to go to Chicago tonight to play in this Hertz rental car tournament, and then I was in town going to this concert, the K-Rock Weenie Roast, which is a big alternative rock concert in LA. And then like 2 days later, when everything happened, my dad called me. He's like, you should just kind of lay low. The LAPD wanted to talk to me and a few other people that had been around him, and at that time we thought we knew him. We thought everybody's inclination was like, oh, this is a gambling thing. Just, let's stay the hell out of it. And then, of course, we'd all come to find out what really happened. But I was sort of entrenched in that in the beginning, which was just really bizarre.
Holy shit!
Because I watched every second of that trial. Like I remember, like Alan Parks is the limo driver's name. He reported a missing bag. Like Cato Kalin. I mean, I knew every ounce of the whole case because I.
Do you watch all of the documentaries and the series that come out about it, or are you just like, I kind of lived it, so I don't need to watch it?
Yeah, it's like now I don't. I really don't. You know, I lived it, was there, and it was just, you know.
Dude, Carson, you're a little like Forrest Gumpy. I feel like you're a part of everything. Like
There's a little bit of that.
Everything the last 25 years.
I have like a touch point to weird things in popular culture, especially like with this Woodstock documentary just came out, and so now a whole generation who like didn't even know about it because there was no phones or social media at Woodstock. Anyway, so like a lot of people have been asking me about that, but yeah, man, I've just been lucky, like through my gigs, like at MTV and in radio, and just friends I've made. I've just been like the way I look at it is like I've just been like rolling the dice, and I just haven't crapped out yet, and I just feel so lucky.
I mean, yeah. Speaking of that, TRL was, I'm sure you've gotten this a billion times now, but that was a big part of my formative years. I remember watching TRL like it was gospel. What's going to be number one this week? Like that was, and you were a huge part of that.
And proud. Like I mean, ironically, musically, first of all, it's a job. Like I've been working since I was 12. I was happy I always felt like since I didn't go to college, I was like, well, I better just fucking work. I better always have a job because I don't have anything to fall back on. And my parents were like, you know, didn't think being like, I was a radio DJ in like 5 cities in 5 different stations in California. Like I kind of rose the ranks really quick and was broke and lived in a pickup truck and have all this crazy time and finally cut to getting to MTV in New York and, you know, TRL hitting, and I created TRL. So that was a lot of fun to get some experience behind the camera. And then, yeah, man, I was a music director at K-Rock, which is an alternative rock station. I've always been like more of a rock guy. But
KROQ.
it was just weird. Like all of a sudden I'm at the epicenter of pop culture and like Britney Spears and NSYNC, and everybody kind of had me pegged as like the pop guy. And I'd go to bars and stuff, and you know, there was always everybody's be like, "Oh, you like the pop guy?" I'm like, you know, not really, but yeah, it's, you know, I'm serious. Like, I love
not really. Biggest pop guy on the planet, but like I'm really not into that.
Yeah, I used to always say, Riggs, I'm like, I'm a bartender, dude. Like, if you want to like a cosmopolitan, I don't drink that, but like I'll be happy to make you one. Like, I'm more of a beer. A beer.
Just give the people what they want.
Yeah,
totally.
And that was, I didn't take that job lightly. I was really lucky to have it. It was super fun, and it was a great time of my life.
I remember, like, for me, getting really into TRL, and I remember the moments like Eminem would be up there. It'd be like you and Eminem, and I'd be like, these guys are so fucking cool. And you guys would just be up there, and I was like, this is it. This is like everyone in my friend group, everybody that was in a cooler friend group that I wanted to be a part of, they're plugged into what these guys are talking about and doing, and I need to watch this shit.
It's so cool. Well, it's such a different time. Like, you know, there was no internet. So, like, it's like American Bandstand for like the baby boom generation. It's like the first time like teenagers could go home and see their peers, what they look like on television, you know, how they dressed, how they danced, you know, what songs they were listening to. It was that shared experience. TRL kind of tapped into that. And, you know, before the internet, like if you liked music and you wanted to see music videos, it was obviously the only place you could go. Now it's much different.
Yep.
But yeah, those were the days. And Eminem's a great example because, you know, MTV kind of like shunned Eminem when My Name Is, the first single, came out. They saw the video. And I remember being in the music meeting, and me and a couple other guys were like, and they were like, we're not going to play this video. You know, it's like this white dude rapping. It's kind of like, I don't know, like they weren't sure about him. And we were at TRL, we were like, we'll debut it. Like, give it to us. Like, if the network doesn't want it, like we want it. So we sort of took ownership of it. And then of course he broke, and M was always really cool. When 8 Mile came out, you know, he was a big star, obviously. He didn't have to come back to like TRL and pop his face in, but he did. And I always thought that was really cool. He never kind of forgot where.
Were you going out with these people like at night? Were you like in the New York? I mean, you were young back then. Were you in this? And you were such a central figure in the pop culture scene. Were you living it up?
Yeah, totally. I mean, dude, it was like, it'd be like if. I mean, it was like really like if Charlie like got the friggin' like ticket, like if I felt like I got the golden ticket, like I got to walk a bar and I ripped it over slowly. It's like, holy shit, I got the golden ticket. I'm going to be an MTV VJ. And like, you know, I always felt like that. I always felt like a viewer that just had keys to the building. I never felt like the line never blurred. Like the signs kids held up said, Carson, let me up. Like they only liked me because they needed me to get to the Backstreet Boys or Korn or NSYNC. Like I always knew my place in the world. And so, yeah, like when there was opportunities, I became very friendly with obviously that whole kind of circle. And dude, yeah.
Who was the most fun to go out with?
There's too many. By the way, New York City at that time in like from 98, 97 to 2005, like the Yankees, like Jeter and I became friends. Roger Clemens and I became friends. I would go to every game and they would like sit right behind the Yankees and they would like throw me and my friends like food. We'd all go out after and just get hammered after Yankee games. I mean, I was out with
Jesus Christ.
It's unbelievable.
I was out with David the day before his perfect game and like sports radio was like, oh, he was out last night with, you know, the dude from MTV and all this. And then like in like clubs, like I'm not even like a club guy, but like we'd go to clubs and hip hop was, you know, so it was just such a vibrant time in the city to be young and to have access to it. And yeah, man, it was the best. I took full advantage.
You kind of live Frankie's dream life. It sounds
God.
Partying with the Yankees, doing all this cool music with music people. That's unbelievable.
Riviera. Is there? You've been around so much amazing moments and people, but is there one like specific music moment that sticks out to you that like really took you away, where you had to like step back and be like, this is pretty insane?
I'm lucky enough because I've been in the music business for so long. There's been quite a few. I mean, one just off the top of my head. I'm like a family first guy. Like, you know, I have 4 kids under the age of 13. Like they're all I really give a shit about. And my wife, like I'm not one of these guys that's trying to play golf to get away from my family. I play like 9 holes so I can get back to my family. So everything kind of revolves around my family. I brought my mom, who's one of my closest figures in my life, who passed away a couple years ago. I had a chance to bring her. Chad, the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, invited me to come to one of his shows. It turns out that show was in Ireland, and he was opening up for U2 at Slane Castle.
Oh, wow.
And so I brought
At a castle, you said?
at Slane Castle. Slane Castle is where they recorded the album The Unforgettable Fire. In fact, Slane Castle burned down. That's why they named that album The Unforgettable Fire, the band U2. They hadn't played there since 1973. It's also geographically the dividing line between the Catholics and the Protestants. So me and my mom land in Ireland in Shannon, and we see on the newspaper a picture of Bono and Edge holding a casket. Bono's father had just passed away. So like all of these things are brewing. We fly in a helicopter to the backstage at Slane Castle, and the opening band had one hit on the radio, and their name was Coldplay. So there's Coldplay, then the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then U2 playing at Slane Castle, where they hadn't played since 1973. And Bono comes out and says, like, this one's for my dad. If you're, you know, to all of you here tonight, you're going to see the best fucking U2 show we've ever done. And then he goes into, like, you know, War or something like Sunday Bloody Sunday or something crazy. And I'm with my mom.
Jeez.
And I'm grabbing my mom. We have chill. Like, so the linkage between music and history and family, the fact that I've had to, you know, I could be a part of that. Like that sticks out, you know. I mean, I've been to great concerts and I've had, you know, party with a lot of dudes backstage and stuff like that, but nothing that resonates like, in fact, the next day Aaliyah died. Aaliyah was a pop star.
He won Forrest Gump, I think.
And we flew home early for Aaliyah to cover that on MTV and stuff like that. She'd been shooting a music video in the Bahamas, and they finished that video early, and the group was in a rush to get out back to Miami, and then the plane went down. And so, like that whole weekend is really a crazy weekend.
Jeez. Wasn't she like 21? I was looking back at that recently, and she was much younger than I remember.
She was incredible. I mean, she was like, I mean, you could ask like Beyonce about her. I mean, or any young pop star who's in their maybe 40s now. I mean, she was acting too. She was, I think she was in a movie called Queen of the Damned, which was a big movie at the time. She was just really at the beginning of her career, and she was lovely.
She had those records with Timbaland.
Yeah,
those things were amazing.
G4 has teed up some new limited edition releases just in time for me to add them to my wish list for the holidays, which I actually did and already got. I posted on my Instagram story the other day, but they got new Gallivanters. They got new of the MG4 I guess are they X's?
Yep.
Which I'll go grab in a second. But there's a lot of companies that we work with that we get very excited about. Golf shoes and golf fashion and golf comfort have come such a long way, and especially since we started working with G4, that it has entered a realm of excitement around golf shoes that I didn't even know was fucking possible.
I gave my dad some G4s last year for Christmas. He started wearing them to work because he liked the bubble insert.
That's very important. If you have ever worked in the restaurant industry, which Frankie, I know you have. I was a busboy for a few years. Shoes are super important.
I said you can't wear them anymore. You're sliding around on the tile in the back. He said he didn't care. He just liked the way it felt.
Got to get him another pair.
I know. He just didn't care about the fact that it wasn't made for like back of the kitchen type of traction. It's made for like grass and bunkers.
They got pretty good grab on them, though.
They do, especially the MG4Xs.
Yeah.
But no, man.
They got great grab on.
They got great grab. They're so comfortable, and they've just dominated this like sole. The sole of the shoe there's something about it. The insert, the sole insert.
It's a massage. It's a constant massage throughout the day.
Look at those things. Wow.
Look
Yeah,
at
those are
these
nice.
with the skulls on them. These are aggressive.
Yeah.
I got a pair of these puppies too.
Beautiful
Incredibly
shoes.
comfortable. You get on the
I
bottom
got some
right
new.
here.
Yeah. I got some new disruptors that I love. I love they look like kind of
Street
white
shoe?
leather shoes that you would wear. Yeah, they're like a street shoe. I love that shit. I'm really excited for 2023 in the shoe game.
So G4.com/4. Get 10% off your first order today. Check out their site. Order soon to try to get some gifts delivered before the holidays by going to G4.com/4. The Gallivanter's phenomenal. The MG4 series, MG4 X2s are great for on and off the course. So go check out a bunch of our favorite style. We've got them curated kind of on that link. So if you go to G4.com/4, get 10% off, see a bunch of our favorites. I know you were saying back in those days with TRL and all that you're kind of like, I'm just the guy from MTV that's with these guys. But you had so much power back then. Like they needed you to play their videos and to get up there. Like you kind of held the keys to that castle, I feel like.
Well, I mean, MTV was smart in a way because, first of all, you have to understand, before I got there, like when I would grow up watching TV, all the VJs really knew nothing about music. They were just models reading cue cards. Then they would leave and they'd go to LA and try and parlay their luck into pilot season to become actors. So when I got hired in like 97, MTV was in the rock bottom. And so the mandate when I got there to 1515 Broadway in New York, the typical TRL, that building was like, we don't want VJs, we want ambassadors of music. And I've been a radio DJ and I knew all these bands. I knew all these up and coming bands. I was a music fanatic. Music and golf was all I gave a shit about. And so they were like, just be you when people come into town. So they actually gave me like a corporate credit card and like they wanted me to entertain and TRL was going to be like my living room, an extension of my home. And so Judy McGrath, the president of MTV at the time, was like, Carson, just go be you, man. You love music. You're passionate. Be a viewer on the air. Be responsible. Don't be an idiot. And so that gave me like 4 years to just cultivate relationships. And when people came into New York, it was like, hey, you guys want to hit this club or go to this game? And then, hey, stop by MTV and bring your new video or whatever, and we'll take a look at it. And, trying to help people out. I mean, I've always tried to expose people to new music. So I was lucky I was able to do that.
Boy, did you nail that role that they gave you. you just
I missed it.
absolutely nailed that.
That's interesting. It's an interesting formula though, because it's a lot of what we try to do at Barstool is where you're talking about you're just a fan who had keys to the building and you get to go up there and talk to all these people who you would love to talk to. And now you have the job where you get to do that. And I like the point about never blurring the lines. You were always like, I'm a fan. I'm lucky to be here. And I can't believe that I get to do that. That's a lot, honestly, of what we do.
Yeah,
here.
no, I sense that. I'm a big fan of kind of the paradigm that Barstool's created. And as a sports fan and as a broadcaster and just as a regular dude who, just lives life, there's such a large portion of relatability between, the sensibilities of what you guys are doing on a daily basis over there and the way that, so many sports fans, live their life. That it's refreshing too, because, the media business now is it's a different beast. I feel like, you have talking heads and pundits and everything's politicized and everybody's an expert. And it's like, like Blake Shelton and I created this show and I'm not plugging it. I'm just literally on the heels of this conversation. He has a bar in Nashville. We're like, let's just do a show at your bar. We just do like stupid bar games, just get drunk with our friends and like, it'll be awesome. And and then the whole idea of that was just to like create a television show that was just fun, you know, like literally just stupid fun, where you don't have to like think. And we always said, like, if our TV show is called Barmageddon, we're like, if it was a political affiliation, it wouldn't be the Democratic Party, it wouldn't be the Republican Party, it'd be the cocktail party. Like, that's what it is. So, yeah, it's fun to places like this where you can feel normal.
Yeah, I mean, you can plug the hell out of Barmageddon. That's what we're here to do. You know, when you're Carson Daly and you're just freewheeling, telling stories like you are, USA Network, Mondays, 11, 10 Central. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, we're on after WWE Ross. And so what's great about that is USA Network, which is part of the Comcast family, where, you know, I do most of my business at NBC with The Voice or the Today Show. They are home to wrestling, WWE, and NASCAR. And so we thought that was kind of the perfect audience for like Blake and I's personal sensibilities and the things we like to do, the people that we hang out with. He's friends with a lot of the NASCAR drivers. We got Nikki Bella, who's our host, you know, so I think just like the show itself it's really a good, like, complimentary piece of, you know, television show for that particular network. Like it's impossible to produce a show anymore for that to appears to New York and LA and on a network in prime time, and the business is just so crazy right now. So we're just like excited by having the show on this cable network at 11 o'clock at night after Raw. That's just, you know, just fun.
The podcast with Rory, how did that come about?
That came about from Golf Channel, who, you know, it's weird. Like of all the things I've done in broadcasting, you know, golf is the only thing I've never really been able to monetize. Like I've tried really hard, even through NBC Sports, and, you know, to just, and I think they think like, oh, like I want to be in the booth or something, like taking Nance's. I'm always like, no, dude, like I'll Valley Park, like I'll do interviews in the parking lot, like I'll just cruise around, like literally I'll follow. I'll do stuff for digital. It doesn't even have to be on the air. I don't care where you use it, how you use it. And I know most of these dudes out here. I mean, I'm passionate about it. I've played most of the golf courses, et cetera. I think I have some sort of added value to it. Anyway, so it's never really happened. And so the Golf Channel, born out of that, Rory had just done that deal with them for their, I forgot what it's called, but Golf Pass.
Golf Pass?
Yeah, Golf
Pass.
And kind of one of the added incentives for, I think if you like subscribe to the Golf Pass, some of the extra content you got, one of them was a podcast. And so the idea of the podcast would be me and Rory, who I'd never met before we did it. We did maybe a dozen of them or if that. And he was great, and it was awesome. But then his schedule got crazy. COVID hit. The Golf Channel also went through something. They moved out of Orlando.
Right. Yeah, they moved to Connecticut.
And as you know, the thing with podcasts, like you have to, I mean, it's got to be like weekly. It's got to be as often. We were doing like evergreen shows. It was really difficult to talk golf.
Right.
It's very, it's funny because the stuff you were just talking about earlier with TRL and how, you know, the way you kind of, it was born was through your passion. You love music and you just did it as a fan. It's the same way with like podcasting, where it's just like, if you're not doing it all the time, for whatever reason, that just oozes through and it's very evident to the listener, the viewer of a show, whatever. And so it's like, it's definitely a little trickier, but I'm surprised too, you haven't, you know, been able to break through or make something massive yet in golf, because obviously your personality, the different connections that you make, the way that you approach is very similar to the way that we approach it. So it's like, how the hell did we do it if Carson Daly hasn't?
He's got so many other things going on. The guy's Wikipedia goes on for like 18 pages.
I like
it's insane.
A morning radio show, like for years ago, I was like, so what you do, like this morning radio show, like The Voice, and then like the Today Show. I'm like, listen, guys, like I always have to have a ball in the air, because like for fear that I'm just going to get figured out, and like, you know, I just like radio was always like my waitressing job. So, but like I said, like the craps analogy, I just haven't quite, you know, crapped out yet. And it'll come, I think. You know, I did go to the Players literally the day that NBA game was canceled for COVID in 2020.
Oh yeah, I was there March 13th.
March 13th, I think it was. My son's here reminded me he was there, and they put me in let me call. I did like an interview where they let me call a little bit of color. I was in the parking lot at TPC Sawgrass, and then they were like, "You want to like do a little announcing?" I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And there was like a flyover hole preview, and I got to like. I just played the golf course, and so anyway, it was a blast. Like I got to just get my toe wet in it, and like you said, Riggs, it was like there's a saying: if you love what you do, you've never worked a day in your life, right? We know that. That's great, but like if you do something like that, and you genuinely would pay those people to do that. Like, that's the ultimate job. Like, I would have paid money. I would have paid $100 an hour to, like, it was like fantasy camp.
Yeah,
You really can't catch a break with the golf stuff, because after you did that, the world shut down.
Yeah. So I have this one literally on my computer. I have one like 3-minute clip of me like pretending to be a golf announcer, and I just watch it every now and again, and I'm just like, oh yeah, man, that was so fun. That was so cool. One day I get to do that.
We've spent a little bit of time around Rory, and I'm always surprised at just how normal that guy is. There's absolutely no pretension. There's no, if he was sitting here and having a chat in here, it wouldn't. Some stars I feel like have a star aura, but he just comes off so down to earth and so normal. Was that your impression of your time with him as well?
100%, Dan, and maybe to a fault. I mean, from if I'm his agent, because I know.
Yeah, it's like you're Rory McIlroy. Start acting.
Yeah, well, the media loves him for that reason, because he doesn't say bullshit. He gives them some answers. Maybe to a fault. Maybe it opens up cans of worms. I think he's with the live thing. He's trying, because he's the unelected official of the tour. Him and Tiger. I think he is trying to figure out whether he likes it or not. There has to be some sort of level of diplomacy when he's discussing, macro matters of like PGA Tour versus live, because his words have consequence because they're so weighty. That's not a bad thing, but he's the man. I mean, he is the man. I've spent a lot of time with him and with my family, and his family, his growing family, and he's the best. He literally is. I didn't know him before the podcast, and my only takeaway quickly was like, I felt so good about the future of the PGA Tour, knowing that young guys like Rory were going to be behind it. And now, since getting to meet JT, I went to JT's house for an interview with my son, who also interviewed him, my teenage son, for NBC for the Today Show, and JT was the same way. We walked in his house, and like, he's just cruising around. I don't know what we expect when we walk into celebrities' home.
I know.
Handlers to grab you and put you away.
Yeah.
Sign an NDA. Give me your cell phone.
Floating into the room or something on phones, or like Puff Daddy. P Diddy does that. He's the only one. But was super cool, and that's, I don't know. Again, that whole group that you guys have just been talking about recently because of the match last week or whenever, like that whole Spieth. Those guys are genuinely friends. And like you said, Riggs, the bullshit meter on the audience, whether it's this or like, if it's passionate and it's organic and it's real, it's gold. It's money in the bank. I'm not money, but it's so refreshing. And those guys genuinely have that camaraderie, and the tour is in good shape because of it, provided they all stay at the PGA Tour.
Is your son a player? Is he is he picking up the game?
Yeah, he loves it. And again, going back to just my time with my stepdad, I worship that dude. And so like when we had Fore, he was like, let's go play golf. I was psyched just to be in the golf cart with him, watch him smoke a pack of cigarettes. Like everything he did was cool to me on the court.
Yep.
He had just like this way, and he was good. He was like a 2 handicap, and he had these old persimmon woods, and like, he was just scrappy. I'd go with him to play in the morning, and it would be like 40 degrees. And he just like, nothing fazed this dude. And so that time was very valuable. So when I get time with my son, just even if he just wants to go hit the snack shack and get a friggin' Snickers and not tell his mom, I'm just like, let's go, dude. And we bring a little speaker and play music, and he's a good golfer.
Yeah, the father-son, which obviously we've got the PNC this weekend is largely a father-son, or at least family related. Yeah, so many people that get into golf get into it because of their dad or a fatherly figure, and it's tough. I'm 35 now, and my dad's in his high 60s, and he's starting to get back into golf because he's the way I originally got into golf. And it's like, as you get older, it's tough in life to find genuine time to spend with your parents or just your dad or whatever. And golf is just the best way to possibly do that, where you're outside, like you're saying. Like, I feel like dads always want to walk. It's like a big dad thing. It's like, let's grab the bag and just walk and play. And having that connection, it's cool that you're such a family guy. I imagine around this time, a week before Christmas or so, must be pretty hectic with you with 4 kids.
Yeah, but it's great, man. Like my parents, my mom was like Mrs. Claus, man. Like December, my kids and I were just talking about like the feeling I had at Christmas, December at my house, and it was really special. So yeah, we try and carry that on and do all the traditional things that we do. And it's weird being in New York because the weather, it's like, I just had spine surgery. I had the S1L5 fusion that Tiger had actually.
Wow.
Whoa.
And so I haven't played golf in like a couple of years through this, and now I'm on the way back, and I just was cleared to like chip and putt. So I'm at an all-time high. I actually didn't even care about the game. Like my chronic back pain is like I made a joke the other day on the Today Show because I found myself like the ambassador recently on like two topics: mental health. I have anxiety and panic disorder. And it's something I've been very open with lately, the last couple of years on the Today Show and talking to people about it. And also chronic back pain. So I said the other day, like one of my colleagues was like doing some story like in Miami and something really important and political or whatever it was. And I was like, I think I'm the Al Bundy of the Today Show. Like all I talk about is like anxiety and back pain, you know, with like my underwear sticking out of my suit or something. The truth is, it's relatable. Like a lot of guys, like, you know, so back pain is no joke. And I know through like my chronic back pain experience the last like 5 years, it was getting worse and worse. I stopped playing golf. I couldn't play anymore. And I was getting scared. And I finally went to this doctor and he was just like, you're a perfect candidate for this fusion. And I did it in 14 weeks out. And I've been literally pain-free. And I'm in rehab and I have my whole life ahead of me.
And now you're the favorite to win the 2023 Masters.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, really, it makes a lot of sense. I've seen this story before. Is it like stiffness? Is that the biggest negative from it?
It's the biggest negative is what they do is they take a bad disc out and they put in a little like titanium box. It's called a cage. Inside the cage is like this chia pet material. It's like a human growth stuff. And then once they set it with these threaded screws, the hardest part is you just have to stay immobile because that stuff has to start to grow. And when it grows, it's actually growing into the bone, the vertebrae on the top and the vertebrae on the bottom. And after ultimately a year, that'll all be bone. So that segment of your back that was broken apart by this disc is now going to be one segment. But it's so low on your back, Tiger, same thing, S1L5, there's actually a good amount of humans through evolution that was actually naturally fused. So it's the best part of your back to have a segment that's fused. It doesn't really impede much, but the worst of it is staying. I've been walking like 20,000 steps a day. Because also I'm already like trying to lose weight. And then this happened. I was like, oh shit. Like now I'm just going to be sitting on a chair for like a year. Like this is going to be terrible for me. You can't turn, you can't lift, you can't do anything. I love a good Peloton ride. And so just when I was mentally trying to kind of like after COVID go the other way and kind of get my shit together physically, this happened. But it's just, you got to look at the long approach. And now I'm going to be, in another couple of months come spring when it warms up, I'll be in completely much different position to be able to put my body into torque and motion again.
How about medical science, huh? How about those guys?
Crazy.
What are we talking about?
They
could just do that. That's insanity.
Does what you went through make it even more impressive to see what Tiger did in 2019? Like to come back from all of this stuff, from all of this back pain, and to be able to perform at the highest level?
I don't even know, dude. It's so he never. Listen, I've known the kid since he was like 10. I mean, we used to play in our junior golf, and he had all his ever since.
Did you ever beat him?
He's defied the odds. I mean, our whole friendship is all it's been is just like me witnessing him defy the odds. So I've never been surprised by it. The only thing that surprised me was the more recent car accident, because the rate of speed that he was going, and from what I know about what happened to his foot, I know that the military had to get involved. I mean, that was some real shattered. That wasn't just breaking of a bone. Like there was some really serious shit that happened to him in that last car accident. So seeing him now hit a ball at all is, I think, the most miraculous thing I've seen.
There's the words that they used were comminuted open fracture, and comminuted means the bone was basically shattered, and open means that it broke the skin. And there are a couple guys who I know on tour who have seen a picture. Yeah, JT is one of them, who have seen a picture of his leg after the accident. And whenever they talk about seeing that picture, their face goes like ashen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they went to like, vets who had like, explosions in the field, and, that sort of level of trauma was a team that I think was brought in to consult on his eventual reconstruction and his comeback. So, I mean, once you start adding in those elements, that's on top of like all the surgeries he's had. I mean, so the guy's a walking miracle.
Dude, were those junior golf days when you guys are 10, 11, 12, 13, Southern California, were there just endless whispers of this Tiger Woods character throughout the scene?
You guys don't remember this, but there was a TV show called That's Incredible that used to be on. It was like the show was on prime time on like ABC, and it was just like regular people with like weird feats of success and like people who could like, I don't know, like just crazy stories about human endurance and things like that. And Tiger was on it when he was like 5. There's YouTube it, and you know his dad Earl's holding him and he's reading like a scorecard. And he's like par, birdie. I mean, he was a specimen when he was born. And so at junior golf, the whispers weren't whispers, Riggs. They were like, it was like, who's that? I was like, oh, that's the Stanford athletic director. And it's like, I'm like, yeah, but Tiger's 12. Like, and this isn't like, you know, LeBron's kid when he's, you know, young and, you know, like playing like summer league ball. Sure, you get some eyes on him, see how his body's developed. We're talking like a golfer. Like Tiger weighed 85 pounds. I mean, it was crazy. So yeah, there was always never a doubt.
That's absolutely phenomenal. Look, I know you got to go. I know you got another interview in 1 minute. Barmageddon, check it out. Mondays, USA Network, 11 o'clock, right after Raw. We've said this a few times recently because we've had some great guests on, but we got to get you back on
anytime.
Soon.
I have nothing to do.
Shoot the shit. All
I
right,
love it. I love it. This is one of those things, man. I would pay to do this. So you guys make it really fun and organic. I appreciate all the great shit you're doing for golf, and it's awesome. So keep up the great work. And
Well, I want to say, we always say, like Dave Portnoy always says one of his proudest things about himself is that he's been able to stay cool on the internet for like 20 years. Like multiple generations of people still want to see stuff that he's doing. I think it's really cool that you've been able to accomplish that on such a national level. Like from the 97 to now, you're still doing The Voice and all these shows. It's fucking insane. All the different generations of people that you've had to say, like, I'm Carson Daly, and I'm going to be the one on your TV screen, and everyone still enjoys it. That's fucking awesome, man.
Still stand at the craps table, bro. Still.
There you go.
Not yet.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Let's go Isles,
Man, let's go Isles, bro. Let's get a beer and go whenever.
Is Clutter still wearing that cage tonight? I mean, it's unbelievable watching that guy go out there with a broken face.
And it was just so great. You have to know him. You do, but the blood, he didn't even wipe the blood off on the bed.
It's so good.
It's so good. Like the sport needs it so much. The Isles needed it. And then he popped a goal and assist that game. The dude's beast.
Oh, it's the best.
But yeah, he's still wearing a cage. I was like, when's the last time you wore a cage? I don't know what he said. He was like junior hockey or something. So, go Isles, Frankie. I'll get my number to you, man, and let's go check it out.
Oh, I would love that. I would love it.
Thanks, Carson. Young man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Carson.
Thanks.